in an encounter in the Bijapur district of Chhattisgarh, 5 Jawans martyred while 35 others injured in the encounter. Prime Minister Modi says the sacrifice of the brave martyrs will never be forgotten. Campaigning to conclude today in Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Puducherry, and for the third phase of polling in Assam and West Bengal. The leaders from different political parties to attend rallies and meetings across the states today. India's cumulative vaccination coverage crosses 7.4 crore doses. Meanwhile, 8 states and union territories report a steep rise in the daily new cases. 7-day night curfew in Pune from today. Bihar government orders closure of the schools and the colleges from 5th of April to 11th April. As COVID-19 cases show surge globally, Bangladesh announces countrywide lockdown from Monday. Turkey reports highest number of cases on a single day. The world celebrates Easter today to commemorate the resurrection of Jesus Christ. President Nath Kovinds extends greetings to fellow citizens on the Easter Eve. Pope Francis hosts a post-pandemic rebirth at the Easter Vigil. Suez Canal returns to normal traffic as all the ships stranded by the grounding of the giant container ship Ever Given crossed through the waterway. The authorities say the investigations to the reasons of grounding may take 2 more days. Jordanian military warns King Abdullah's half-brother Prince Hamza bin Hussein to halt actions undermining country's security and stability. Meanwhile, the prince says he is held under house arrest. In sports news, Barty clinches second consecutive Miami Open women's title, winning 6-3, 4-0 before a reported Bianca retires due to injury. Italian Jannik Sinner to take on Polish Hubert Hurkacz in the men's finals today. Hello and good morning. You're watching DD India with me, Nancy Kohli. Our top story: in Chhattisgarh, at least 2 Naxals have been gunned down in an encounter in the Bijapur district of the Bastar region on Saturday. 5 Jawans also were martyred in the encounter while 35 others were injured. The martyred Jawans included 1 Jawan from the Cobra battalion, 2 each from the Bastaria battalion and the DRG. Now, following specific inputs about the presence of Naxals in the South Bastar area, the security forces had launched an intensive search operation on Friday night. Nearly 2,000 personnel of the CRPF, the Cobra battalion, as well as the District Reserve Guard and the Special Task Force were deployed in this operation. The Naxals ambushed the security forces on the border of Sukma and Bijapur district at around 12 noon on Saturday. The rebels opened fire at the security forces, leading to a fierce gun battle. The encounter lasted about 3 hours. After the incident, the additional reinforcements were rushed to the spot. Prime Minister Modi has extended his condolences to the families of the martyrs. In a tweet, the Prime Minister has said, and I quote, "My thoughts are with the families of those martyred while fighting Maoists in Chhattisgarh. The sacrifices of the brave martyrs will never be forgotten. May the injured recover at the earliest." Shifting focus now to news from the poll-bound states and the Union Territory, where campaigning will end this evening for the assembly elections in Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Puducherry, and the third phase of polling in Assam and West Bengal. While the single-phase polling will be held in Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Puducherry on Tuesday, that's the 6th of April, Assam and West Bengal will witness the third phase of polling the same day. The bypolls to Kanyakumari Lok Sabha seat in Tamil Nadu and the Malappuram parliamentary constituency in Kerala will also be conducted simultaneously. Voting for the 40 assembly seats in Assam and 31 seats in West Bengal will be held in this phase. On Tuesday, single-phase polling is taking place for 234 assembly seats in Tamil Nadu, 140 constituencies in Kerala and 30 assembly seats in Puducherry. Meanwhile, campaigning for the 6th of April assembly elections in 4 states and 1 union territory has reached its feverish peak as senior leaders and star campaigners from all political parties are holding rallies to garner support in their favor. Union Home Minister and senior BJP leader Amit Shah held public rallies in Assam's Barty, Bhawanipur and Sialkuchi. Finance Minister and senior BJP leader Nirmala Sitharaman will also hold public rallies and roadshows in Kerala, while the BJP National President JP Nadda will campaign in Puducherry and Tamil Nadu. And moving on now to our focus on the nationwide COVID-19 vaccination drive there. The cumulative number of COVID-19 vaccine doses administered in the country has crossed 7.4 crore. A total of 7 crore 44 lakh 42,267 vaccine doses have been given as per the provisional report till Saturday 8 at night. A total of 13 lakh 146 vaccine doses were given till Saturday 8 at night, the 78th day of the nationwide COVID-19 vaccination. Out of which 11 lakh 86,621 beneficiaries were vaccinated for the first dose and 1 lakh 13,525 beneficiaries received the second dose of the vaccine as per the provisional report. Now, India's total active caseload has meanwhile reached 6,58,909. It now comprises 5.32% of the country's total positive cases. 8 states including Maharashtra, Karnataka, Chhattisgarh, Delhi, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab and Madhya Pradesh have shown a steep rise in the COVID-19 daily new cases. 81.42% of the new cases are reported from these 8 states. The 5 states, that's Maharashtra, Karnataka, Chhattisgarh, Kerala and Punjab, cumulatively account for 77.3% of the total active cases in the country. Maharashtra alone accounts for nearly 60% of the total active caseload of the country. India's cumulative recoveries stand at 1 crore 15 lakh 69,241. The national recovery rate is 93.36%. Now, in the wake of a sudden rise in the COVID-19 cases in Maharashtra, the Pune authority has imposed certain restrictions to control the spread of the virus. As per the orders, a 12-hour night curfew has been on in Saturday. So bars, hotels, restaurants and all religious places will remain closed. The order also states that no public function except funerals and weddings will be allowed. Schools and colleges will remain closed till 30th April. But the factories in Pune will be allowed to operate normally. Meanwhile, the state government has decided that all the state board students across Maharashtra from class 1st to class 8th will be promoted to the next class without appearing for any examination. The state cabinet minister and NCP leader Nawab Malik urged the people to follow the SOPs to contain the spread of the COVID-19 infections. Now, as the COVID-19 situation in Bihar worsens, all the schools, colleges and other educational institutions have been ordered to remain closed till 12th of April. Also, all kinds of public programs and events have also been banned. Around 50 people are allowed for funeral services, while 100 people will be allowed at the weddings with a strict adherence to COVID-19 guidelines. The Union Health and Family Welfare Minister Dr. Harshvardhan has approved the National Policy for Rare Diseases 2021 on 30th March this year. The policy document has been uploaded on the website of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. The rare diseases policy aims to lower the high cost of treatment for rare diseases with increased focus on indigenous research, with the help of a national consortium to be set up with the Department of Health Research, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare as the convener. Increased focus of research and development and local production of the medicines will lower the cost of the treatment for rare diseases. The policy also envisages the creation of a national hospital-based registry of rare diseases so that adequate data is available for the definition of rare diseases and for research and development related to rare diseases within the country. The policy also focuses on early screening and prevention through primary and secondary healthcare infrastructure such as health and wellness centers and district early intervention centers and through counseling for the high-risk parents. The screening will also be supported by Nidan Kendra set up by the Department of Biotechnology. Now, the special NIA court has extended the suspended assistant police officer Sachin Vaze's NIA's custody till 7th of April in connection with the explosives found near Mukesh Ambani's residence on 25th of February. Vaze was arrested on 13 March by the central agency that was charged with the sections of Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. The NIA has told the court that they were not merely investigating cases under UAPA but also several other cases related to him and sought an extension of his custody. In some other news now, the GMR Group has launched a new business vertical, the GMR Innovates, that's dedicated to fostering and driving innovation. Now, over the years, the GMR has redefined air travel in India by building the world-class infrastructure, embracing innovations and employing futuristic technologies at its airports. The GMR Innovates will operate on an open innovation model, acting as an innovation exchange to partner with the startups, corporates, innovation platforms, research institutions and academia to bring innovative ideas and solutions to life and help to nurture and sustain a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship. A dedicated new facility for innovation has also been established at the Hyderabad Airport campus to act as a platform for various innovation activities by various collaborating setups, the industry partners and the GMR employees.
Where this innovation hub can work on, I would say, a sister of aircraft called the drones. Now, the drone technology is an emerging technology, and just as India has become the leader in the IT, the services, and the startup industry, India can well emerge as the leader in the drone technology. We should become leaders in aviation innovation and new ideas in aviation because of our human resources. And I'm sure that with the seeds being sown today, this will grow into a tree which would really find solutions to a very efficient aviation management system of the future.
And moving on now to some updates on the historic Dande March. Mahatma Gandhi had left for Vanch from Daman on 3rd of April 1930. Treading on the path of Mahatma Gandhi, the Padyatris followed the same roads. They were welcomed by the people awaiting there. Now, children, women and the locals who welcomed the Padyatris. Sikkim Chief Minister Prem Singh Thamang joined the Padyatris in Daman and accompanied the Padyatris up to Navsari. The Chief Minister has termed the Yatra a historic and said that the country is moving ahead on the path of progress after taking inspiration from Mahatma Gandhi's vision.
तो बहुत खुश महसूस कर रहा हूँ क्योंकि ऐसा ऐतिहासिक जगह में हम पहली बार आया हूँ, वो भी ऐतिहासिक समय में जो भारत स्वातंत्र के 75 सालों का जो शुरुआत है 2022 में हो रहा है। तो इसके लिए मेरे लिए मैं खुश नसीब हूँ। इसके लिए मैं केंद्र सरकार, भारत सरकार को और मैं गुजरात सरकार को मैं बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूँ, सिक्किम सरकार की तरफ से और सिक्किम का सारा जनता की तरफ से।
And let's now move on, take a look at all the updates on COVID-19 from across the world. The cases of COVID-19 globally has crossed the 13 crore mark. More than 13 crore, 13 lakh people worldwide have contracted COVID-19 so far, while over 10 crore, 57 lakh have also recovered from it. The deadly virus has so far claimed more than 28 lakh 58,000 lives globally. The US still remains the worst affected country by COVID-19. The country has reported more than 3 crore 13 lakh COVID-19 cases. Over 5 lakh 68,000 fatalities have so far been reported in the US. Now, the Bangladesh government has announced a 7-day countrywide lockdown from Monday to curb the spread of COVID-19. And following up on the announcement, the Railways Ministry has suspended all the passenger train services once a lockdown is imposed in the country. However, freight trains will run as per normal schedule. The Civil Aviation Authority of Bangladesh has also decided to suspend all the domestic flights in the country from Monday in order to curb the spread of COVID-19. However, the operation of the international flights will not be affected by this decision. And in more news from around the world, Turkey has imposed new weekend lockdowns in most provinces after COVID-19 cases reached all-time high nationwide. The Health Ministry data showed on Friday that Turkey recorded 42,308 new COVID-19 cases in the last 24 hours. That's the highest level since the beginning of the pandemic. The cases have surged since the government eased measures to curb the pandemic in early March. The Turkish President Erdogan announced tighter measures against COVID-19 on Monday and said a full weekend lockdown will be in place for a month beginning from Friday. The restaurants can only serve food for delivery and takeouts as part of the full weekend lockdowns, which will be in place during the Islamic fasting month of Ramadan starting on 13th April. While Turkey's biggest city, Istanbul, and capital Ankara are among the high-risk cities, along with several Black Sea provinces, according to a pandemic map published by the Health Ministry. On Saturday, the drone images showed half-deserted streets in Istanbul with the traffic visible on bridges and highways. Turkey has over 34,45,000 cases of COVID-19, along with the death toll past 32,000. Now, Brazilian police raided an illegal party at a nightclub in Sao Paulo on Saturday with dozens of people in attendance and little social distancing in an enclosed area. The armed police forces closed down the venue, that's a nightclub in the west of town, and detained some revelers. The state decree to curb the spread of COVID-19 prohibits crowding and requires the use of face masks. In a month, Sao Paulo's police has cracked down on more than 700 clandestine parties across the state and have also carried out 14,495 inspections. More than 3,30,297 have died from COVID-19 in Latin America's biggest country. It is the world's second highest total after the US, making Brazil the global epicenter of the outbreak due to a lack of federal restrictions and infectious new variant. And moving on now to some other news. Well, talking about the Suez Canal Authority, which has said that all the 422 ships stranded by the grounding of the giant container ship Ever Given passed through the canal by Saturday, ending the backlog caused by the blockage. The U.S. Navy aircraft carrier USS Dwight D. Eisenhower was seen passing the Suez Canal on Friday. The international supply chains were thrown into disarray when the 400-meter-long Ever Given ran aground in the vital trade artery on 23rd of March, with the specialist rescue teams taking almost a week to free it after extensive dredging and repeated tugging operations. According to the chairman of the Suez Canal Authority, an SCA investigation began on 31st of March into what caused the vessel to run aground in the Suez Canal and block the waterway for 6 days. Now, Jordanian King Abdullah's half-brother and former Crown Prince Hamza bin Hussein was asked to halt actions used to target the country's security and stability. Earlier in 2004, King Abdullah dismissed Hamza as the heir to the throne in a move that consolidated his power. Meanwhile, a Jordanian security source said that former royal envoy Sharif Hassan bin Zayed and Basim Ibrahim Abdallah, a long-time confidant of the king, and others were arrested on security grounds. The agency said that Prince Hamza bin Hussein has not been arrested, contrary to other reports, and it deemed false, adding that he is currently not subject to any restrictions or house arrest. An update now from Myanmar, where the security forces opened fire on pro-democracy protests in Myanmar on Saturday, killing at least 5 people. Meanwhile, the military stepped up its bid to stifle dissent with arrest warrants for a further 20 high-profile critiques. Now, despite the killing of more than 550 people by the security forces since the 1st of February coup, the protesters are coming out every day, often in small groups, in small towns, to voice the opposition to the overthrowing of an elected government led by Aung San Suu Kyi and the return of the military rule. Protests were also held in Myanmar's second city, Mandalay. The military is also waging a campaign to control the flow of information, ordering internet providers to cut the wireless broadband from Friday. Now, news from the UK, where hundreds of demonstrators joined a rally in central London on Saturday as part of a national weekend of action against a proposed new law that would give police extra powers to curb protests. The Police Crime Sentencing and Courts Bill aims to toughen measures officers can take to disperse demonstrations, such as imposing time and noise limits, which campaigners and the activist fear would be used to curb dissent. Kill the Bill marches were held in dozens of towns and cities, including London, Manchester and Bristol, supported by big campaign groups such as climate change campaigners Extinction Rebellion and the Black Lives Matter movement. Now, since the bill was brought before Parliament last month, there have been sporadic protests, notably in Bristol, southwest England, where demonstrations turned violent, with officers and the police station bombarded with bricks and glass bottles and the police vehicles set on fire. The British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has criticized what he described as disgraceful attacks on the officers, but protesters have accused police of using heavy-handed tactics. And in more news, well, the UAE is hosting a climate dialogue for the West Asia and North Africa today. The climate dialogue would focus on national and regional preparations ahead of a United Nations climate summit to be held in Glasgow in November. The U.S. Special Presidential Envoy for Climate John Kerry said on Saturday that climate change is an issue all the countries share, and the U.S. is not trying to tell anybody what to do when tackling the issue. Kerry said nations needed to transition in a way that makes sense as part of efforts to narrow differences on climate change goals to slow global warming. While later this year, world leaders will gather for the UN Climate Summit in Glasgow to build on a 2015 Paris Accord to halt the increase in the global temperatures at the levels that would avoid the worst impacts of climate change. And moving on now, while Easter is being celebrated across the world today to commemorate the resurrection of Jesus Christ, Pope Francis, leading an Easter Vigil service scaled down due to COVID-19, said on Saturday that he hoped the dark times of the pandemic would end and that people could rediscover the grace of everyday life. This year has been the second consecutive Easter that all the services are being attended by only about 200 people in a secondary altar of St. Peter's Basilica instead of the nearly 10,000 that the largest church in Christendom can hold. The service began 2 hours earlier than usual so that participants could get home before a 10 p.m. curfew in Rome, which is under tough lockdown restrictions during the Easter weekend. Now, at the start of the service, the basilica was in darkness except for the flames from the candles held by participants to signify the darkness in the world before Jesus. As the Pope, cardinals and bishops processed to the altar and a cantor chanted 3 times, the basilica's lights were turned on. Now, in this homily, Francis, marking the 9th Easter season of his pontificate, said the festival brought with it the hope for renewal on a personal as well as a global level. On Easter Sunday, that's today, the most important day in the Christian calendar, the Pope will deliver his message. And President Nath Kovinds has sent his greetings to all the fellow citizens on the eve of Easter. In a message, the President has said, and I quote, "On the auspicious occasion of Easter, I extend my best wishes to and heartfelt congratulations to all the fellow citizens, especially from the Christian community living in India and abroad. This festival commemorating the resurrection of Jesus Christ is celebrated with joy all over the world. Jesus Christ is a symbol of humanity, forgiveness, sacrifice, compassion, and truth. His life teaches us peace, love, and fraternity. On this joyous occasion, let us follow these values which will strengthen the bond of love, affection, and harmony in our society and increase happiness and prosperity in our nation." Unquote. Now, Easter rituals are being observed across Kerala by different churches commemorating the resurrection of Christ. Archbishop Basilos Klimis, head of the Syro Malankara Catholic Church, Thiruvananthapuram, held Easter prayers. And moving on now to sports news, Ashley Barty successfully defended her Miami Open title with the victory over Bianca. World number 1 Ashley Barty retained her Miami Open title after opponent Bianca was forced to retire injured in the second set of Saturday's final. Former US Open champion Bianca lost the opening set 6-3 and was then broken twice to fall 4-0 down in the second to the world number 1. Now, in the men's singles final, Italian Jannik Sinner will clash with Poland's Hubert Hurkacz today. Sinner defeated Roberto Bautista to become only the 4th team to reach the men's final in the 36-year history of the ATP Miami Masters. Poland's Hurkacz beat Russian 4th seed Andrei Rublev to reach the finals. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the news. Thanks for being with us.